What is going on, everybody? Good afternoon. I almost said good morning, but it's good afternoon. And thank you for joining. And just to give you a heads up, my name is Eric Velasquez. I am interviewing the candidates for the city of San Antonio election for the 2021 election, which is April 19th is the early voting, and it ends on April 27th. But the election day is May 1st. So make sure you guys keep that in mind. Being registered to vote will end soon. I believe it's March 31st before you can get registered to vote, but do it now if you haven't done so already. Um, and just a heads up for anybody watching on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, if you would like to join in and ask a comment, you can do so just by typing in the comments itself. Or Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, you can also actually jump into the live stream as well. So that is a little bit more interactive for folks. So if you actually want to jump in and actually ask the question directly to the candidate without us having to interpret what the question is, please do so. I'm putting the link down below in the comments. Instagram, unfortunately, you don't have that option, but I encourage y'all to go ahead and do that. And please keep it nice and PG, please. No cussing on this show, please. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring our next guest. What's going on?
Not much. How are you doing today?
Good. So go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
Okay. My name is Robert Hernandez. I'm running for District 6 Council, San Antonio. Pretty much born and raised in San Antonio. Right now, I'm working for a local nonprofit. Went to Esparza Elementary, then went to Saul Ross, graduated from Holmes High School. Pretty much just been in San Antonio since I was born. New at this, so kind of nervous, kind of. I don't really like talking about myself. I really don't like talking about myself, so it's kind of all new and everything. Um, Reason I'm running, kind of want to broaden my scope of what I do in the community, if that makes any sense. And if you're watching TV and are like, I think I could do better, or no, that's wrong, kind of felt like that, and got to the point where like, hey, let me see if I could do it, and now here I am.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here, and I'll tell you that hopefully this will be a little bit more comfortable than some of the interviews that either you might have in the future or that you had already. So hopefully you'll feel that way. But yeah, so what was that jump like? I know you just said that it was like you feel like you could do better, but what was that thing that put you over the edge to where it was like, you know what, I'm thinking about it too. I'm like, you know what, I'm putting my name in that, because it's not an easy task to do, right? So
most definitely not an easy task. I'm still learning the process. It's almost like being back in school. When so it was a combination of a lot of things. One of the things, like I said, I work for a local nonprofit. I work on the housing side. So there's things I see in the housing side that I think, you know what, I want to hedge that before it gets to become a bigger issue. And I just think at one point it was kind of like, once we're coming out of COVID, and then it's like it's becoming an issue. I see it more in the community. So it's like, okay, now it would be the time. You know what I mean? Right now it would be the time to kind of move forward, and kind of, I always wanted to do it, so let's do it. So that was kind of the thing. There wasn't really like one night when I was just asleep in bed. It was more like, I see it, and then it was like, okay, I think right now's the time.
Mhm. Gotcha. And so what can you say to the constituents that are going to vote to persuade them to why they should vote for you? Yeah.
So one of the one things I would say is this city council. Nothing against them. I just always feel like the city council is fighting with everybody, and I'm trying to unite the city more than divide the city. Um, we shouldn't be fighting with our police unions, our firefighters. These are jobs, and these are people that we should be respecting in the community. And I just think that sometimes some people on the council um, are so grounded in their political beliefs that they want to reach across the aisle to bring people in to unite the city. And I think that's one thing that I can do, is unite. I've also always been kind of open to anybody, kind of not non-discriminative, I guess, to just bring people to the table. And that's my main thing. I think I want to bring everybody to the table. Like I said, I was born and raised in this city. Um, I mean, so the city has a huge heart, and I hate when the city is shown in a bad light. I know there's more good in the city than there's bad, and I want to bring that good to the table and unite the city and the district.
Yeah. So, like, are you trying to say like you want to bring a light to the city council in a sense? Like,
I I think the city council. It's always kind of seemed like the city council was not, how you say it, kind of like a far-reaching other little organization that nobody really knows, that they run the city, but nobody really knows what's going on. I kind of want to bring that to light and bring it to the people in a sense like, hey, you can make the city council. This is your council. This is not a bunch of lawyers, a bunch of people, career life politicians. These are people that, like I said, I was born in the city. Like I said, I went to Sparta Elementary, Saw Ross, Holmes High School, and you'll catch me at Fiesta. You'll catch me at all these places. You know what I mean? You can see me at, well, we run into each other. Like, I mean, my thing is like, how many times do you run into your councilman? You know what I mean? Just not like a career politician. That's what I want to kind of bring the council back to the people and
mm,
where I think the power should lie.
yeah, definitely. So, yeah, there looks like there's 5 in that race right now, and so what are some things that you would like to, or actually, what are some of the things that you think that have been a good thing that has happened that you would like to build off on, maybe that the current elected official has done, or something that you've seen done in the district that you think could be a little bit improved on, but you like that model?
So, so one of my big things right now is a COVID recovery. The one thing I did like was the election for the job program that's going on through the city. But my thing is that I would kind of want more oversight, more kind of. It seems like they just gave uh, the council and the mayor a blank check, and kind of there was real no thought of like what we're gonna do next with all this money that we have for this job program. So that's one thing I kind of would want to kind of get in there and kind of structured and kind of maybe even get into the right organization. So one of the one things I'm also a big advocate of is partnerships. So I believe I read that the city was trying to create this job program, but we already have people out there in the community that their jobs are specifically to find jobs for people and train them. We should be partnering with those organizations to kind of collaborate on this job program. Um, One of the one things that the city did do that I did like was Council One at Mr. Trevino. He's always in a work group with housing strategic work group, and they were always in there, and they were able to pass ordinance where if you get evicted or an eviction notice, you get a pamphlet, pretty much a paper, just stating what options you have during the pandemic, and that's something I worked on, and I would like to see more collaboration between nonprofits and the city.
Gotcha. Okay. JV has a question here, and I want you to be able to, says Robert is biased himself. Ron Delord, the pioneer of police union, stated the point of the union was to create conflict and create an enemy, just like they did with Scully. That's organizing 101. Is he holding them accountable for the same belief he's calling council out on?
So, so my thing with the police union, and I'm not sure this is gonna answer your question, is that I don't think we've, and that's the thing, it's always been this clash, and I kind of want to get in there and kind of just sit down and see what are they asking for. It always feels like everybody, like when they're going to these meetings and every contract is negotiated, it always feels like, oh, let's get our sides together. Let's get our sides. I mean, it's always like a fight, and I want to kind of get away from that. I want to work with the police union to see what is needed, what is wanted. One of the one things is, um, like I said, I work at a nonprofit um, on the housing side, so it's a nonprofit that works with deals with homelessness. So one of the one things is we're not going to rest our way out of homelessness. We got to have services, and mental health issues is one of those services that the police they're coming around to. There's a really great documentary on HBO about how the mental health unit, they help. I would like to see more services like that delivered through SAPD. Um, so I'm trying to.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I'll hold. Of course I'm hold. Every officer should be held accountable. You know what I mean? And one of the one things is, I guess the proposition that's on the ballot is something about, of course, doing the union away, and then the other one is about, I guess the grievance policy with the police.
Well,
Um,
it's the repealing of Chapter 174 as far as the contract itself. So, we've obviously been hearing a lot of back and forth, and somebody's lying, these people are lying. So, there's a lot of there's a lot of mud slinging around. So I mean, I think we need some more definite answers on what's going to happen. So I really strongly suggest we start asking those questions. But I think too is what he was trying to say is are you going to hold those unions, not just the police officer, but the unions themselves accountable? By which I don't know exactly specifically on who can hold those people accountable, but what would you like to see done with that in that area?
As far as the unions, like I said, I want to bring them to the table. I want to talk to them. I want to see what they say. I want to see what they want. Like the unions, they represent the police. You know what I mean? I understand that there needs to be negotiations. This we're not negotiating with this. We're not negotiating with that. I mean, it kind of almost needs to be like a fresh start where everybody needs to put everything on the table and kind of go from there. You know what I mean? We need to, like, first of all, police officers have a tough job. You know what I mean? And they do need to be held accountable. Same thing. I'm not sure exactly the same thing with about accountable to the union or what. Like, I mean, unless there's mis misguidance there or something that needs to be kind of. But I haven't heard anything on that nature. But I do. Police should be held accountable, but we should also respect and we should make police officers a job that somebody wants. If your daughter, son, father became a police officer, something you should be proud of.
Gotcha. Um, okay. Well, here. I missed the point that city asked for input on the SA Ready Work program and partnerships. Did you participate?
No, I did not. And that's the one thing. Like I said, I don't know everything, and that's one of the one things I do kind of. And this is why I'm going to all these meetings because the one thing I want information. You know what I mean, I don't know it all. I don't know a lot of these like some of these programs that are set aside that are specifically to certain like targeted audience.
Yeah.
So I do want to know what's going on. You know what I mean? And the thing like I know there is a few partnerships, but I think it's like $134 million if I'm correct. That's a large number that could be helping a lot of people. And from what I read, and I can't remember where I read it back, and I kind of glimpsed it, is that the mayor kind of wanted to kind of restart a whole job program. And I'm thinking, why are we going to restart a whole job program when we can partner up with maybe Texas Workforce Commission? I forgot there's another agency out there whose job is to train and kind of go through that process of locating employment and stuff like that.
Well,
For
and I also heard the argument of why are we retraining people to do something else when they were already doing something that they really love to do? Some of them. I mean, not all of them, obviously, but something that people really wanted to do, and now their only option is to go get retrained, or So I mean, there's the kind of that aspect too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I totally understand it because I think it's only a certain amount of certificates that you could get or something like that. There's like a list that you got to select from. I totally understand. And that's something that I would kind of look into is like what's in place. Like if you had a welder that he loved doing that welding job, how would we keep him in that welding job? And theoretically, in my head, it would make more financial sense if we just kind of locate a new job for him instead of training them again to do something else. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So that's something that I would look into, and that's why I kind of like this job program. I don't know much about it, and I would kind of like to see more. There's a little bit of my fault on that, just not kind of researching kind of as much as I should have probably. But that's one of the programs I would look at. You know what I mean? I think it's meant well. It just sometimes it probably not might not be delivered as well as I think it could be.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of things happening, right? There's always a lot of things happening. So, some of the things not everybody's gonna know. But like I think it was Councilman Perry. He was like, well, there's only about 5,000 people that have, or I can't remember what he said. I think it was like only like 35 people or something really low that had enrolled into the program. But that was at the start. But there was actually been a lot higher number than that have actually graduated. So, I mean, things change constantly. So it's just trying to stay on top of that situation. So what would be your first item of business you would like to accomplish if you do get elected into office?
So one of the first things I kind of would, of course, the pandemic, kind of COVID. COVID is kind of the recovery. I think for the next 2 years is what's going to be kind of our main thing. And COVID recovery encompasses a lot of stuff. And it encompasses job programs, bring back. Also, small businesses, make sure they're okay because that's a lot of the economy right there. We got to make sure that a lot of these businesses that shut down do have that option or opportunity to return. And we got to kind of figure out how to kind of make sure that through the process that the city is with them, kind of go through that. Another one is housing. Of course, that's like my kind of thing. That's what I do right now. Local nonprofits housing. I would kind of want to see how Saha and San Antonio uses their tax credits. One of the one things is we give these tax credits to these apartments, and then it's kind of like nobody kind of sees what's going on as far as like the follow through. Um, and then another thing is
Are you talking about like the subsidies, like for example, like the Weston Urban and the Lone Star District,
yeah, yes,
to where they're getting basically like TERS money, and then also uh credits towards their property taxes. They're getting like tax cuts for their property taxes.
yes, and then in exchange, they're supposed to do what they call affordable living.
Yeah.
Another thing is that affordable living is not necessarily affordable. You know what I mean? Some places I've known and they get tax credits, and their rent starts off at 1,000. You know what I mean, for a one bedroom, and like I said, I work in the housing side, so sometimes I have clients who are on SSDI, and then there's no way they can afford the $1,000 rent. Another thing is I kind of want to just Saha kind of get with Saha to see how best we can expand income-based property and kind of especially for the disabled, especially on what I call fixed income or fixed income.
Right. Well, I mean, I think we really need to also find out what happened during this snowstorm, right? Like we can't even maintain the properties that they already have because they didn't have any power, which I get, a lot of people didn't, but also they didn't have backups, right? They didn't have people to go help. They didn't have, you know, they just didn't have a lot of things. So I think we really need to look at those because instead of expanding, kind of like how the city is, we're expanding, right? We're expanding to farther out north and everything, but we're not taking care of the infrastructure that's already in place. Probably the same thing with Saha, right? I mean, we're not taking care of the infrastructure that's here with Saha. These buildings that are here that are older, we don't have backup generators. So I mean, do you think maybe we need to do that
Yeah,
first?
and that's a little bit of the whole thing is I think that's the city in general. I mean, that's the whole city. Like I said, like in the housing, when I'm in the housing, I see a lot of different things. Like I'll see a house for sale, $250,000 next to a house that's falling apart, and then it's like, how's that even possible? And then so what ends up happening, people just end up getting taxed out of their property. You know what I mean? And so that's one thing. Like Saha, and they are trying to remodel. You know what I mean? Saha is trying. Can't knock them on that. It's a really difficult process and difficult task, especially upgrading some of their buildings after I think that other senior community that caught on fire that didn't have sprinklers about a couple years back, and then Saha did go through and kind of look at their buildings, and they're on a limited budget, so I kind of understand that. But kind of maybe getting with them and kind of see where the money's going, kind of what's the best way we could help the community. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's difficult out there, especially if you're living on a fixed income. And so trying to be able to find a apartment to live in off of 880 a month. You know what I mean? That's something that I would kind of try to figure out with Saha. Also, Saha's wait list. They're right now the voucher wait list is closed, but at one point it was up to almost 5 years. You know what I mean? That is we got to fix that, and they're trying to fix it as best as they can. But I would think that if we got the right people in the room, we could figure this out. At least to kind of assist a bunch of people that really do desperately need it.
Right. And I mean, are there some things that you can see that could be done differently? Because it's only getting worse, it seems like. And I don't know, maybe it's not, maybe it's not, maybe it's getting better, but I'm just saying, in your perspective, do you think it's getting worse? Do you think there's something different that we can do with the Zaha program?
Um, I so okay, so there's two things going here. First, the city's growing so fast. The city's growing so fast and it's aging so rapidly. We're having a older population, and so Saha, we got to grow with it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I think sometimes we plan for now instead of planning for the future. And I think that's where Saha is. Saha, and we've been budget cutting, and that's through the government and stuff like that. But I think we do got to kind of get a plan. And what one thing also is I'm reading is because you always hear these plans. I have the 2020 plan or 2040 plan from the city or these plans, and it just seems like it never happens. And I kind of want to get in there to kind of just make sure that some stuff does follow through. And you know what I mean? It's great to have these plans. And like I said, I work in nonprofits and I've been in meetings and not necessarily through that nonprofit, but in other meetings with housing coalitions and stuff. And it's like we're having this great big old event. And then it's like they get put on it's on the news that they met for this, and then nothing ever comes of it. And I kind of want to just go in there and kind of make sure that we can kind of follow through and maybe kind of he said, follow through with some of the plans and make sure that we help people.
You know, I think what's happening is that there's a lot of times where these plans are brought up, but they are not implemented until years later, right? And it's always either past when a council person is already either come and gone or whatever. And, and then obviously there's a lot of times where a lot of the people don't pay attention to it. So, I mean, because there's always things going on. So, do you think that could be it? Maybe just because they're just far in the future. I mean, you know what I mean? That they're not implemented right here and there. And we've talked about it with some other candidates. It's like we bring these ideas, we pass some ideas, but they're not implemented until 4 years or 6 years later because that's when we're going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess you see it that way, but it's like if we're in this position now, I mean, you can say whatever you want to say, like, oh, I'm gonna do this in 5, 6 years. It's like we got to figure out something in the meantime right now until we get to that point. In a sense, like, I mean, little things that we can kind of work on is just like trying to figure out how to get that list shorter, how to bring in more income-based properties. Look at the tax credits. You know what I mean? Like we talked earlier, is like, are these tax credits being used wisely to where we could get more, I guess, more bang for the buck in that kind of sense?
I don't think they are, because
I don't think they are.
if you look at a lot of these businesses, the bigger businesses, they're getting, they're not paying any property taxes. And you look at comparatively, you have the north side, and we looked at one the other day. Is we looked at one hotel and it's the same company, right? So one hotel on the north side is paying like what $790,000 in taxes, and then you look at the one on the south side, like on District 3, and they're not paying any taxes that are contributing to the community. So if you look at, I'm sure in District 6, you'll start probably looking at some that you'll find that aren't paying any taxes. And at what point do we say no more? Are we going to keep doing this and having these companies pay affordable housing market? Like what would you like to see done, or would you still like to see that done to have them do affordable housing?
I I, I think they're beneficial to a point. So we got to look at them and see, like, are they really assisting the people that they're intended to? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you should be able to get a tax credit and then charge $1,000 for your rent. because that's not affordable living. You know what I mean? So I think we kind of need to look into that. That's where I kind of want to come in to look at it because I don't know the details. I don't know all the details in the background, what's going on and what it is. But like you said, there's the the difference between paying all that tax and paying almost no tax, and then saying affordable living and paying no tax and then charging $1,000 for your unit doesn't make sense. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like it just where's the money flow pretty much. You know what I mean? There's a lot of great nonprofits out there that would be able to do a lot more with more of the tax money.
Right. Well, and it also comes back on the taxpayers and the property owners and homeowners that, we have to front these bills, and then the teachers don't get paid, and then everything else. Like it's a constant thing. But so what's your plan on bridging the gap between city council and the citizens themselves? Like as far as like with either
I I
bring,
think
bring them together.
I think doing things like this, doing more of these things, being out there in the community. Of course, my office is my phone number. I don't know if anybody has my number. I'm more than free to give it out in the group chat. I don't know if anybody want. They could text me. My number is 210-601-0543. I mean, just kind of being out in the community more and just kind of making sure that everybody feels that they have a voice. I'll listen to anybody, even Jay, who's kind of bashing me right now in the group chat, and I welcome it, man. I welcome it. I might not be the most smartest, I may not be the most informed, but I will listen. I will listen to anybody that wants to speak to me. Like I said, my number's out there. I wish we did have more meetings or more. So I grew up in the I grew up in San Antonio, and I spent a lot of my time in the community center. I mean, that's one thing I think the community centers are really there for the community. I felt when I was little, I would wake up and go to the community center, and then get from the community center and go home, especially on the weekends or in the summer. One of the things I think we kind of neglected our community centers and kind of I mean, speaking for me, and I'm not sure about the other council, I would be in community centers. I'd be on the community as much as possible. I said open door access to anybody that would want to speak to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I grew up going to Palm Heights. I don't know if anybody knows where that's at. Palm Heights over off of Nogalitos. So that was my place. That was
Palm
where I
Heights.
lived.
Actually, I worked a little bit at Palm Heights. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I actually Garza. I grew up at Garza. I grew up, and then I started working a little bit at Garza. Then I went to Melendres or Monterey. Then I went to Cuellar,
Oh,
and
okay.
so, but that
Yeah.
was a while back.
Yeah. And so okay, so what are some of the items in the city that are city owned maybe that you feel are being underutilized? Is it some of the community centers? Is it some buildings or
The community centers. I really do believe the community centers. I would love to see Parks and Rec is doing good, but I just think they're kind of spacing out some of the kids. And I don't know now, especially now, if I would be able to go in to a community center like I was when I was younger, and to go out there and hang out and be a real community center where the community comes in and stuff. I would love to see more meetings neighborhood meetings being brought in community centers, more services into the community centers. You know what I mean? One of the one things I would kind of want to do is I would like to see a police officer in every community center, um, as much as possible, just so that the community feels safe to go there. Sometimes some of the community centers are kind of rough, you know what I mean? But I would love to see an officer in the community center. I know there's park police, but just also just kind of an officer there to kind of just bridge that little gap, and then of course um, community leaders being in there. You know what I mean? That's the one thing. Community centers is one. Libraries also the same thing. Um, More services through libraries, and libraries do pretty good.
Mhm. Yeah. So with that, what's your take on the police issue as far as with and I we kind of touched on it, but as far as do you think that some of the police need to be held accountable specifically? Is there anything that you would like to see done while in city council that can try to do that, to encourage police department to be held accountable? Or do you think that everything's like good.
Definitely not everything's good. Definitely not everything is good. If everything was good, then I probably wouldn't be running. And we wouldn't. It wouldn't be on the news every day. Police need to be held accountable. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing. They do need to be held accountable. And honestly, in reality, there's probably for every thousand good cops, there's probably that one bad cop, which kind of throws it all off. You know what I mean? Um, but I think the police do need more training, more especially to mental relate to mental health issues. Um, just more training, kind of understanding um, of the issues that going on in the community. Like I said, one things I do kind of want to see is the police offer more services. You know what I mean? We can't arrest our way out of everything, and we can't throw everybody in jail. We don't have room for that. And so a lot of this stuff has underlying issues. You know what I mean? There's a reason why. Hey, like I said, like it goes back to almost to the parks in the sense like if I didn't have the park and I wasn't going to hang out with my friends, what would I be doing? And the same thing now is like if you don't have a job or you have nothing else to do, what are you gonna do? You're gonna just hang out and do nothing? No, you're gonna go find something to do, and usually it's trouble. You know what I mean? And so I think I would like to see the police more kind of more community police, pretty much we would call it. I mean, of course, I know they got to do their job, but kind of just coming to understanding that it's a hard job and they need our respect, and but yet they need to be held accountable. I mean, to like the saying is, to gain respect, you have to give respect, pretty much.
Mhm. Gotcha. Um, so that the one topic that I really want to talk about specifically is, especially since you said you're with a nonprofit for housing, what would you like to see done with the houseless population, the homeless population? What can we do differently, and what would you like to do differently than what's being done right now?
So first of all, the one thing about the homeless population is that there's a reason for homelessness. You know what I mean? There's a reason, and so what I'm trying to say is, so like we first of all, it shouldn't be criminalized. Um, a lot of the homeless population has mental health issues, and that's not being addressed. So that's the first place we would start addressing the mental health issue side of it. Another thing is that the homelessness, we can't. It's not. I'm trying to. I got so much stuff in my head going, trying to flow out. It just kind of seems like everything. So we need to kind of. So as far as housing side, the homeless, we do need a true was it? I forgot. On the top of my head, just kind of blew off the top of my head. Housing first, a true housing first motto, where we have a homeless person, and I need this service. We can put them in a unit, and we can give them the service around them by the services that they need. You know what I mean? And so they won't be homeless no more. That's one of the things that we do need to start off. Here was Master Listing. Houston has a real good program that they have out, the Star of Hope, I believe it's called. Also, another thing, and I think there is a project going on like in the east side, almost kind of built after thing in Austin, where these tiny homes are built and people get to live in them, and they pay a certain amount of rent, or they help the community kind of grow. So that's one thing that we also would need. I know there's been a few tiny houses built in the city, but I think they got caught up in the city council red tape, and they weren't able to be utilized as good as we should. And I find that kind of disturbing in the sense that we have units, and for whatever reason, the city cannot, instead of putting barriers up to that housing, the city should be tearing down those barriers to kind of fix that.
Well, and I think a large reason is because of the people that live around that neighborhood, right? Because I actually had spoken to a lady who owns the Comfort Cafe. I don't know if you ever heard of the
Mhm.
Comfort Cafe, and she was reaching out to me and letting me know that they wanted to build. They bought land right in the medical center area. They bought land and they were going to basically do like that, like a community where it's like a rehabilitation community, but nobody wanted it there, right? And
Mhm.
so they were stuck. So it's just things like that. Like, how can you convince the community um, to change, to embrace that? yeah, in a safe way. You know what I mean?
I totally understand. I think that's a little bit of education. I think one of the one things is we do kind of need to educate kind of the community as far as what homelessness is, because you don't know who's homeless. You really don't. You don't know when you go drop off your child at daycare and stuff. You do not know that person is homeless or not. When you go pick up food, you don't know if that person's homeless or not. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing. I think we have more kind of education. I think that's one thing that the winter storm kind of brought up. Seeing homeless people is kind of go through that. I think that kind of opens a little bit of people's heart. You know what I mean? And we kind of, I think we do kind of need a little bit of education about the homeless population. Is that most people don't want to be homeless. Most people would want a job, want a house. You know what I mean? They kind of want these things that kind of everybody else has in a sense. So I think that's something education, kind of also working with church organizations to kind of help the homeless people kind of come housed and kind of self-sustaining. And like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with mental health issues or addiction, and trying to get the programs they can to get programs so they can be assisted to become self-sustaining.
Right.
And like I said, one of the great things that where I worked in nonprofit, they have spotlights on people that have gone through homelessness and have are now self-sustaining and what they're doing now and stuff like that.
Mm. Yeah, we definitely need a lot more of that. Of not the negative stuff, the positive stuff.
Yeah, most definitely, man.
So what are your plans to help the community help with their property taxes? I know that you won't be able to do anything specifically with BCAD, but I'm just saying, what are some things that you would like to introduce for your district to help alleviate some of these issues with the property taxes?
Um, home exemption taxes. I would love to have more of those. I don't know, kind of keep that going. Also, would kind of like to educate the citizens on the process of how to fight your tax, your evaluation of your property and stuff, and how to kind of go through that. I mean, I think one of the big things is I think education is really, really, uh, really, really important in anything that we're kind of doing. And I think one of the one things is educate people how to kind of fight those taxes, hikes, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The website thing you just posted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I mean, that's
So
one thing. And I would kind of look also. City might not be able to do it, but the city can be supportive of sometimes some things of what we can do. Would love to see a cap on certain things, especially maybe even if it's on kind of city utility services that we have going on to kind of lower those taxes, or what taxes the city has, school districts and stuff like that we can lower.
as far as with the school, I mean, from especially talking to some of these to some of the school board people, they're not getting enough money. So I think you would probably get a little bit upset, but yeah, I mean, I think at the most part, we're looking at a lot of people are getting taxed out of their homes, and a lot of people are not protesting their taxes. They don't know how to do it. And Ryan, I do see your question. I will get to it soon. Oh, it's on Instagram. Sorry, it's on Instagram. I will get to your question. I promise. The website to protest. If you have never protested your taxes before, you should be getting an appraisal here soon in the mail. Sometime soon. I don't know what they seem sporadic sometimes, but once you get it, you will have a form. It'll show you how much your home is valued at, quote unquote. And if you have a e-file pin on the top right hand corner, that means you can go ahead and go online and protest your taxes. If you do not have one, you just call them up and ask for an e-pin, and they will give you an e-pin really quick, and then you'll be able to go online and protest your taxes. Really simple. It takes 5 minutes to just reject the offer. They'll resend you another offer to counter offer it, and then you reject that one too. Even though it's going to be like $5,000 off of your price, you're going to still reject it, regardless if you just bought a new home or you're just about to buy a new home, whatever it is. You still want to protest it, and then you'll go into a formal interview, and then that's when you'll start doing the negotiations, kind of like buying a car. Really, if you think about it, that's how the whole process goes. So if you don't like buying a car, you're probably not going to like protesting your taxes, but please still do it. um and they do make it intimidating. It's a little intimidating sometimes if you're not used to the situation. So, but they are doing phone interviews right now, I believe. So please make sure you protest your taxes at bcad.org. Okay, so Ryan asked, uh, why are you choosing to run against the current incumbent? She is doing a great job. Okay, so yeah, that's. I know you kind of answered it, but
So
yeah.
I have no issues with Melissa. Um, but I just think that I could bring more people to the table. I think my experience through San Antonio, I can kind of, I want to unite the community, and it's nothing really. It's not really like I'm running against her in the sense like, oh, she's doing a really bad job. It's more like, okay, I see this issue coming up. I want to kind of address it, and like I said earlier, it's kind of like, well, maybe you're watching TV and you're like, why are they doing that? They should be doing this. Why are they doing that? And that's why I'm kind of more running. Hopefully that kind of answers that. It's not really like really against her. It's more just kind of like I see this issue. I want to work on this issue.
Gotcha. And also said, why would you cap city services?
The city, the raising the rates on that, like the water rates and stuff like that, kind of making sure that it's growing at kind of almost inflation rate, not having these big old jumps of 20-30%. More
Got-
like a 5 to maybe 5% a year. It could only go maximum cap rates like that. That's what I mean.
Gotcha.
And
Okay. And maybe not giving some of these executive directors a big bonus raise, right?
yeah, sometimes, yeah, most definitely. And yeah, that's another whole issue, CPS, and you know what I mean.
um. Okay. Well, Ryan said, then why not work with her and sit on the board or commission? Okay.
I
So.
that's like I said, honestly, like I said, it's something I've always wanted to do, run for city council, and I'm not opposed to if she wanted my input or anything. If the election happens and whoever wins, they want my input. If I don't win, I'm more willing to help out any way I can. You know what I mean? I'm not here, like I said, I'm not here to try to divide anybody. If anything, I'm here to unite more people, bring them together. I think the more people we have at the table, the better it is. Even though sometimes the table may get loud and kind of messy, at the end of the day, I think if we're in a room of people, we could figure out these issues that we have.
Mhm. Gotcha. Well, yeah, and thank you, Ryan, for those questions. I mean, thank you. I mean, they're a little bit difficult, but hey, I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
But so again, if anybody also wants to jump into the actual live stream, I will post the link is up above in Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. So if you'd like to actually jump into the conversation, you can come in. Make sure you enable audio and video. You can just do one if you want. You just want to do audio, that's fine. But you can jump into actual conversation, ask directly to you as well. Okay. Instagram, unfortunately, you won't be able to. So hello everybody. um, so yeah, so definitely take this opportunity to be able to do this because since we're not having forums like we used to have, or forums where people can actually ask questions without you know being limited or whatever it is, this is the perfect place to do it. So
And most definitely, if like if y'all want to do another one, I'm more than welcome to do it. Of course, my number is 210-601-0543. Feel free to send me a text, a message, good or bad, whatever y'all want. Like I said, I just like I really am running because I think um, I don't know. I just for whatever reason I feel sometimes city council feels like it's another land, and I kind of want to show like, hey, you can do it. Anybody can become. Yeah, I mean, anybody can run in the whole process. And like I said, I was born and raised. I have no issues with her, particularly in this district. I just think
yeah,
I want to move the city forward.
yeah, definitely. So uh do you feel like the infrastructure in your district is good, or does it need some
So
development?
So with District 6, it's such a white district, and as most districts are, it goes from Quayer Community 36 and Old Highway 90 all the way to 1604. So old Highway 90 in that area, it definitely needs help. You know what I mean? Sometimes we go down Culebra, and we call it the roller coaster. You know what I mean? Because it's like a roller coaster. And then on 1604, you have these nice, great streets that are perfectly fine. And so the inner city part of it does definitely need some infrastructure maintenance or build. But yeah, um, like I said, and also as far as I know, there's not many parks and like community centers up more north for 1604. If I'm understanding it right.
Mhm.
But that's something I kind of would love a community center out there.
Yeah, and if you look at it, there's a little strip of District 6 and one street that goes up up here. I think this isn't this Government Canyon?
Yeah, Bear Can is one of
Yeah,
the
okay.
parks. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's
I
it's a
don't think there's
weird.
too many. Yeah, and like I said, it's a huge district. I think, like I said, if you look back at everything, all districts are like that. You know what I mean? Except for I think was it 5 is kind of more in the middle. But
Yeah,
you know what I
five
mean?
and one, but yeah, there's a definitely a high concentration of people in District 1. But yeah, um so what was I? Where was I? Hold on, let me bring this up. Um so where are we at? Hold on. I got going
Infrastructure.
off. Yeah, infrastructure. Oh, what does community mean to you?
That means neighbors. That means people that you go to the store with. That's who you watch out for and who watches out for you. Community you learn from. Uh, Community is who you are. You know what I mean? That's kind of like everything. Community is being able to know your neighbors, go somewhere, feel safe, be able to talk and discuss stuff. Um, Kind of making sure everybody's okay. Um, I mean, that's what community means to me. Just kind of, you know what I mean, be able to be in a place that you're comfortable.
Cool.
That's what.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. The hardest question of the day.
Okay. Uh,
What are your top 3 small business restaurants that you like in District 6?
in District 6, uh, my favorite place to get brisket, and it's called the Rib House of Old Highway 90.
Okay.
And then there's another barbacoa spot. I can't remember off the top of my head. I just kind of know where
Come
it's
on,
at.
they're counting on you. They're
I
counting
know,
on you.
I
Come
can't
on.
remember off the top of my head. Um, and then I'm trying to think if it's in District 6. And I can't. It's off of I don't think it's District 6, honestly. It's off of Ben Russ. It's a little Mexican restaurant right next, almost by the fireplace. That's where I was getting my fajita tacos. Uh, and then I'm trying to think. Those are our main kind of areas that we go to. Those three. But for sure, brisket from the Rib House is my number one spot.
Nice. All right. And then last question. What are your I guess 3 favorite musical artists or bands or
Okay, so right now, number one artist probably favorite right now is, or it's actually it's kind of weird. I have like my go-to guy, which is Jay-Z, and whenever I can just kind of relax and listen to Jay-Z. Second guy right now, just because it just seems like he never puts out anything. I'm not sure if anybody is into rap or so. Is Drake. I just kind of love Drake. And then the third one, it can be, I don't know. My boy has me listening to Mac Miller right now, and that's when that kind of changes all the time. Whatever he's listening to, it kind of throws me into that kind of Mac Miller kind of. He's been listening to Mac Miller, so that's what's been kind of playing. So that'll be my third one right now. But I love all kinds of music. I just right now I'm kind of into rap, and I don't know about you if it ever does. It kind of changes on depending on what mood. Sometimes I'll go
Oh
country.
yeah, like right now, I mean, my go-to is Moana. So the song from Moana,
Yeah,
Disney movie.
yeah,
So
so it always changes. And it's just depending on what mood. And then sometimes I'll be in my country mood, and people are like, "Why are you listening to country for like a week?" And then sometimes I'll go into my rock mode, and sometimes me and the boy are working out to Selena, and it's like, you know what I mean? So it's just I'm everywhere on that.
hey, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, no, I ask those questions because I think I think people can connect more with with who you are, especially with music. Music always connects people together. Music and hobbies.
Yeah.
Um, so
And
what
also,
are some hobbies? Do you have any hobbies that you want to share with some
oh,
people?
oh, I was gonna say also pets. I think people connect through pets. You know, what I mean, I have
Oh,
3 bad dogs. But as far as hobbies, the one thing I love sitting down watching TV, and it's depending
okay.
so like so like right now, for whatever reason, I just always watch like criminal shows. First 48. I'm
Oh,
trying to think of the other ones that they have. First 48. 60 Days In. So that's kind of what I kind of watch. Hobbies, basketball, um, training basketball. I do a lot of. I used to have a youth basketball team. I
okay.
got away from that for a little bit, but that was kind of a hobby.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, man, thank you. Appreciate it. So how can people get a hold of you? Yeah, if they
Okay.
want to donate, volunteer, what are you looking for?
So as far as donating, we still haven't gotten there yet. I'm still trying to read out how to do all the tracking of that and everything. So hold off on that. The best way to, if you want to reach out to me, the best way is my phone number to text me. That will be at 210-601-0543. And I can send you the links. I do have a Twitter and a Facebook. I just don't promote them as much because I'm not really that tech savvy as far as I should be.
Do it, bro. Do
I
it.
find
Do it.
no, I find this setup amazing. How it's all set up. I thought it was gonna be like a Zoom. I think we text each other
Oh yeah.
before, and I was like, "It's a Facebook link." I never done it, but I'm sure I could figure it out. And like, no, it's just one link, and it'll be on everything. I was like, "Wow, man!"
Yeah, man.
But
We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, but I ghetto fight it. I'm just recording on my cell phone. So hi guys, here's my hand. But I mean that's the only way Instagram doesn't let you connect all of them together. So guys to face or Instagram live me as well as doing this, it was just too much of a hassle. So sorry for all the candidates that I did earlier that I had to do that. This is easier and it's clear, and you guys get to see kind of like what we're seeing on Facebook. So, but yeah, man, I encourage you to make sure you start doing some social media too because
yes,
it
and
definitely helps.
oh, most definitely, I'm gonna start doing that pretty soon. I think. Give me one second, real quick second. I just kind of want to send out. I want to make sure I have. I don't. Yeah, I don't have it up here. It's Robert H46. That should be the usernames for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Robert H46.
Robert H. 4
Yeah.
FOR or the number 4
FOR.
4 6
Yeah. And
like that. Like
yeah.
okay, kind of like that.
Yes, that looks
Okay,
good.
all right.
And the funny thing about that is when we applied to be on the city council or applied for to run, I was gonna put Rob 46, and then of course somebody else jumped in as there's another Robert in there. It's like, oh, that took that away. So let's make sure the whole name.
Yeah, and I still do have to do Rob. Rob, if you're watching, I do need to get to you. I know we had to reschedule last time, but yeah, no, I mean this is open for everybody. We want to make sure that everybody gets a voice, even though I've heard plenty of times where well we it should only be viable candidates, but either way though, I think everybody should have a voice regardless of whatever it is. If you're serious, there have been some people that have said no, I don't want to do it because I'm just doing it to put it on there and I don't really, and that's fine. So but I want to make sure that the whole purpose of this is to make sure that everybody has a voice for it. So thank you for coming on, Robert. I appreciate you. Thank you for everybody for joining and asking some questions. And for all the viewers, if you would like to sponsor or maybe donate as well to this live stream, you can. My Cash App is down below. If you'd like to just donate a little bit, that's fine. I'm doing this completely free out of my own time and pocket. So, so I'm not tied down with anybody. But I do need to ask y'all a question later on. I'll probably do another live stream separately just because I want to ask some questions and kind of direction that you guys want to see this going to. So, but thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you,
Uh,
everyone.
yeah, for sure. And
Mhm.
you guys have an awesome day. All right.
You too. Thank you, sir.
Yep.